afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Pendulum, coming to you live on Lagos Television. I am Ajibola Ojeshola. Today on the program, we'll be looking at the rate of insecurity in the country. All of us are very familiar with what is happening in some part of the country in terms of kidnapping and some communities that have been terrorized in Kwara, Kogi State, Benue, Samfara, and a host of others. Of course, the government of the day is making efforts to reassure Nigerians that indeed that welfare and security is paramount to the current administration. But recent development is beginning to make Nigerians doubt the ability of the government to provide adequate security for them as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. So today on the program, we'll be looking at the factors responsible for the increase in rate of insecurity. Of course, the confirmation of the new defense minister yesterday by members of the National Assembly. I would also be looking at those calling for the formation of state police. We also saw that the Southern Governors Forum met recently in Ogun State. Likewise, their northern counterparts who met in Kaduna State all agree that it is time that we created state police to address the growing trend of insecurity in the country. But before I introduce my guest this afternoon, we'll be taking a very quick break now to bring you some of the trending news in the polity. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on the Pendulum. We are back again, and there you saw trending news in the polity. Once again, our topic of discussion this afternoon is the level of insecurity in the country and what the federal government is doing alongside state governors to ensure that indeed Nigerians in any part of the country can sleep with their two eyes closed. I did say earlier that the welfare and security of the people are the core responsibilities of government as enshrined in our Constitution of 1999 as amended. So my guest this afternoon is actually a retired police officer, is also a lawyer. So he will be talking from the angle of somebody who had served the Nigerian police before, giving us his own perspective as regards the challenges of insecurity facing us as a country and what are the long-term as well as short-term solutions that government of the day might need to put in place. We'll also ask him if he's also an advocate of the creation of state police as being suggested by the southern and northern governors who met recently in Ogun and Kaduna State to add their voice to those calling for the creation of state police. We also saw what transpired yesterday on the floor of the Senate, where retired General Christopher Musa was actually cleared as the Minister of Defense to replace the former one or resign on health grounds. So what are the things, what are the challenges before the new Minister of Defense, and how will he navigate the murky waters of insecurity that we are facing as a country? Being a retired military officer, he was formerly the Chief of Defense Staff. Is that an advantage for him to actually take Nigeria out of this problem? Joining us this afternoon is Barrister Barth Ozoana, is a retired police officer, and is joining us virtually on the program this afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Jibola. How are you today?
I'm very well, and you? Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
All right. Before we talk about the creation of state police and, of course, the task before the new Minister of Defense, who was cleared yesterday by the Senate, looking at the state of insecurity in the country lately, we have seen increase in kidnapping, banditry, terrorism, and a host of other crimes. What are the factors responsible for the surge in insecurity in Nigeria from your experience as somebody who has served the country in the Nigerian police before?
As a matter of fact, let us start by saying that the insecurity in the country of recent has become very embarrassing, unfortunate, and unacceptable. And I think this is the result of the lack of political will by our leaders to have taken certain decisions affecting security over a long period of time. That's my answer to the first question you posed.
Okay, so from your experience, what are the factors that are responsible? Is it basically from government, or there are other factors that are responsible for the increase in the number of insecurity crises that we have?
From my own point of view, as a matter of fact, there are many factors that have led to this unhealthy situation. To start with, the security apparatus, the security infrastructure in this country, I can say with all due respect, are not adequate and are sometimes mismanaged. To start with, when you talk about internal security, you see, the body or organization that is in the forefront of internal security is the police in any part of the world. Yes, the police. And in the case of Nigeria, the Nigeria police force should be in the forefront of internal security. To start with, the Nigeria police force, as of today, lacks manpower, lacks training, and lacks necessary tools with which to operate. Starting from inadequacy of personnel to inadequacy of infrastructure to lack of proper training and retraining. To start with, Nigeria is too vast for a single police organization, force of service, or whatever you call it, to handle. Nigeria is a federation of 36 states and the Federal
FCT.
Capital Territory. So for one police force to police this vast area is not proper, is unacceptable, and is not, it is counterproductive. For instance, the United Nations ratio of police to population over the years had been 400 to 1. That is 400 population to 1 policeman. But in Nigeria, what do you have? I think the last time I did some little research, it was almost 600 of population to 1 policeman. South Africa has gone beyond that. So with this figure, then secondly, what do you have for the police to work with? I remember when Sunday Hindero was the Inspector General of Police. I think he was the Inspector General of Police up to 2008 or 9. The Nigeria Police Force had less than 20 armored personnel carriers, APC. And these were the ones that were bought by the Shagari regime of 1979. They were toppled in I think after 4 or 5 years. Whereas the South African police, as at that time, had more than 25 armored personnel carriers that were in proper condition and were effectively in use. Also, as at the time Michael Kiro was the Inspector General of Police, the United Nations ratio of police to arms was that in every operation, out of 10 policemen, 8 must be armed. 8 of them must be armed. But in Nigeria, what do you have at that time? It was one policeman to every 10. So in the case of an oppression, instead of 8 of the police, 8 out of 10 policemen is sent on operation, only one is armed. Criminals will just aim at that one that is armed, gun in down, pick up the arms, and go away. So we have a lot of inadequacy with Nigeria police force. So these are some of the problems confronting the Nigeria police force.
Okay.
But assuming we have a multiple layer of police, like we should have in a federation, because Nigeria operates a federal system of government, which supposes that the federation is made up of so many component parts, or states, or whatever you call them, or regions. You see, so I don't know the police problems in Nigeria has remained very worrying, very worrying.
Okay, Barrister Ozoana, I know that
Yes,
the Nigerian police is responsible for internal security. I want us to look at insecurity broadly now and look beyond the Nigerian police. We know that the military are the ones responsible for the protection of the territorial integrity of the country. From your own assessment, interagency collaboration, intelligence gathering, are we getting it right as a country at the moment?
I don't think we are getting it right as a country, because in every situation there is a need for cooperation. But sometimes what we have in this country is a rivalry. Mr. A would like to prove that he's working more than Mr. B, and Mr. B would like to show that he's working more than Mr. C. But whereas there should be cooperation amongst all the various security units in the country. And one mistake we keep making in this part of the world, in Nigeria, especially in this country, you see, the military, when assigned to internal security, are being abused. That's their function. The functions of the military, like I have kept saying over the time, is as found in section 217 of the Nigerian Constitution, not internal security. That is why you see, if you leave the shores of this country to the Western world, for instance, the UK, America, and so on, you hardly see a soldier in the street. But in Nigeria here, apart from their normal conventional functions as stated in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you see them on roadblocks. Travel from here to Ore, you will find a number of roadblocks manned by the soldiers, which should not be so. It's not their duty. Their duty is to protect the internal security. What is contained in section 217 of the Constitution. That's where you find the army. But here, the army is trying to be on roadblock. They are struggling with the police to do certain things, the Air Force, the Navy, and so on and so forth. So rivalry instead of cooperation and sharing of intelligence. In fact, they should, even the DSS, originally, you know that the DSS of today, what people call DSS of today, but the law, I've not seen any law which made in DSS. The security is under the Security Services, SSS. There was a time it was part of the Nigeria Police Force.
Yeah.
Up to the time of, yes, that's today's SSS, or what people call DSS, was part and parcel of the Nigeria Police Force until the Babangida regime that took the function away from the police and created what he then called the NSO, the Nigerian Security Organization. You see, from there, it started changing names and things became larger and took over the internal security of this country. So back to your question, I think there should be cooperation. All the various forces, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Nigerian security and civil defense, there should be cooperation. And the police even, they should cooperate for the benefit and advantage of the internal security and even the external security of this country.
Okay. So how much of this level of insecurity can we ascribe to the porosity of our border as well?
Yes, yes. I think the then Defense Staff General Christopher Musa, who was yesterday, I think it was before the Senate yesterday.
Yes,
I heard him say when he was CDS, and even yesterday he repeated it during the interview. He was talking about the porosity of the Nigerian borders, and he was suggesting fencing our borders. But I don't, in my humble opinion, I think I disagree with him, because Nigerian borders are so vast that to fence Nigerian borders, I think will demand a huge amount of money.
Is it now better to leave them porous?
Control.
Is it now better to leave them porous?
Come in again?
Is it now better to leave them porous as against what he is suggesting?
He was suggesting fencing our borders completely. That was on his suggestion. He started thinking of that when he was in CDS.
So what would you suggest?
What I would suggest is proper border patrol.
But you said we are short of manpower. You said we are short of manpower. How do we get enough manpower to man those borders?
Yes, I think we have, if we behave properly, I think manpower will be no problem. But will not be a problem. But we don't have the political will. To start with, in my humble opinion, we are spending so much money on the political class. We are spending so much money on the political class. If we stop spending unnecessary spending on the political class and employ more men in all the security agencies and the police, I think that will be better for us. We'll be able to patrol our borders more effectively than giving each senator, is it 8 billion a year or 8 billion whatever, in the name of constituency projects. And sometimes the man will go and buy grinding machine, buy barrow, and give to some poor people in his constituency, and they will say that's what they are using the money for. We should not, we should be able to employ people. There are many jobless youths in this country that can be employed into various branches of the armed forces and the police. And that will be the better for us rather than the amount of money we are spending on the political class. And one of those who believe that we spend so much money on the political class for no reason. For no reason. Do you know how much they are giving them this year for SUV cars? All these things are unnecessary. It's not done so in other climes. So if we spend less on the political class and we invest the money for the benefit of the country, like employing more men into the army, the navy, the air force, the police, even the federal police, before talking about the state police, that would be better for us, for the country.
Okay.
Yes. We can patrol our borders effectively if properly organized.
Okay, in this age of technology, in this age of technology rather, won't it be more proactive or better, so to say, for us to deploy drones and other technological gadgets?
Yes, but I was coming to that. You see, when I was talking about the infrastructure available to the police in the performance of their duties, I had in mind technology. Technology. Is it not funny, painful, and inexplicable that kidnappers will kidnap people, go into the bush, use phones to phone victims' relations, give them account numbers, they will pay money into that, and so we are not using technology in this part of the world. If we use technology properly, the drones are there, these are there, they have a lot of instruments that we can use, but we are not using them in Nigeria. We prefer manpower. This is not the time of money. The days of manpower are gone. We should invest in technology which is very, very effective. Drones, you just mentioned, is just one aspect of technology we should invest in. When Arase, may so rest in peace, who died some months ago, a former IG, he created, he was trying to set up an IT this thing for the police that will enable police in investigation and in tracking down criminals. But as soon as he was retired, as soon as he retired, I think it was on public domain that they now converted that IT something for they now started using it for another purpose, and not for the purpose of tackling criminals and criminality in this country. So these are some of our problems. So if properly used, like you suggested now, the police and the government, all the armed forces, should invest in technology. It's very important. If we invest in technology, I think the country will be the better for it.
All right, let's look at the new Minister of Defense who was cleared yesterday, like you rightly mentioned earlier when we started the show. It was a retired general of the Nigerian Army, and now is the minister in charge of defense. Is that a plus in our quest at tackling the problem of insecurity, being a former chief of defense staff?
I think his appointment, in my humble opinion, is putting a round peg in a round hole. I think if you have read his antecedents, right from his enlistment into the Nigerian army until he left, you will see that he's a man who has vast experience. He was in the Lake Chad Basin of the Nigerian Army operations. He was commander here and there. So I think that appointment is a welcome one. And I think and we expect that he will use his vast experience for the benefit of the country. I think, as a matter of fact, I never knew we had a minister of defense at all. With all due respect and without any ill feeling, I never knew there was anybody like a minister of defense. All we used to hear, myself in particular, was the Minister of State for Defense. I never had Minister of Defense. So I think he will be the type of Minister of Defense we know that everybody will hear about. We'll hear about his good activities, his good performance, and the advantage of his being appointed. So I think it's a good decision that the president had to appoint him, and we expect a lot from him.
So what do you think should be his approach in solving the problem of security facing us as a country from his experience, like rightly claimed the other time? And, you know, Mr. President, appointing politicians as those in charge of defense ministry, wasn't that an error, ab initio?
I'll start by talking about how security can be properly organized in this country. And that will take me back to the issue of state policing. Because policing is very fundamental, very, very fundamental to the security of any country. But in Nigeria, we are not serious with that. You see, policing has to do with the substratum, the foundation, the ground norm of security in any country. Security starts from the police anywhere in the world. Even countries that operate a unitary system of government. Do you know that there's a body in this world called or known as the Forum of Federations? They are 27 in number. This group of countries are countries that operate the federal system of government. There are 27 in number. America is there, Canada is there, Australia is there, Nigeria is there. And in this forum of federations, in all those countries that make up that federation, only Nigeria that operates a single police force. In all these other countries, you have, in America, for instance, America has 18,000 police agencies in America. There are 18,000 police agencies in America, from the Pacific to the Atlantic, to the Canadian border, to the border with Mexico, and so on. 18,000. In America, you have police forces of the federal, of the state, of the county, of the city. Do you know that schools in America even have their own police force? See how they go to pick up our children here in Nigeria. Remember, recall what happened in Kebbi State.
Yeah.
I know that place. I was a police officer in Kebbi. I know that area very well. They pick up our children at will. They start to tell us they posted army there, they posted soldiers there. It's not a war for soldiers. In America, schools have their own police. Schools have their own police. 18,000 agencies, police agencies in America. In the UK that oppress a unitary system of government, policing is a local government affair. That's why in Britain today, in the UK today, you have 43 police agencies in a country that is a unitary system of government. 43 in the UK. In Australia, in Germany, I don't know. So we have to go back to state policing. I recall, if you recall very well, you're a journalist, when Buhari was the president of this country, the governor of his home state, Katsina, at that time, went to him at that time. I think that was during Buhari's first tenure. Masari, who was the Speaker of the House at one time, he said, Mr. President, that was the time this banditry was just starting, in Katsina in particular. Masari went to Buhari and said, Mr. President, sir, I know the location of these bandits in Katsina, but I have no means of confronting them. Masari is still alive today. He told Buhari, assuming he had a state police, he would have stormed that place, what we call storming in military and paramilitary discipline. I know their location, I know everything about them there, but I don't have any means. I don't have any military, I don't have air force, I don't have navy, I don't even have a police to have confronted them. Buhari told him to go. So first of all, go. Masari left. But assuming we started tackling this banditry at that early stage, I think we wouldn't have been in the mess we are in today. When the President Minister of State for Defense,
Matawale,
when he was governor of Zamfara, he did say, it's in writing, it's in some papers, I have copies of the papers that reported him. He said that in Zamfara State at that time, that there were 30,000 bandits in Zamfara State, 30,000 in Zamfara. I have that evidence today. And that in the whole of Northwest, as at that time, that there were 120,000 bandits. It's a huge army. 30,000 Zamfara, as at that time, there were 120,000 in Northwest as a whole. There was the strength of Nigeria police force. Police in Nigeria is...
Okay. I'm very sure that Mr. President, from his pronouncement lately, is quite worried about the rate of insecurity in the country. And of course, he declared security emergency in the country as well. So on the long run and short term now, what are those things that Mr. President might need to do quickly, as well as the security chiefs, before we let you go?
Yes, I think what he has to do quickly now, in my humble opinion, is first and foremost, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, which has already been amended, should be further amended. Section 214 of that Constitution, which talks about a single police force, and which says that no other police force should be established in Nigeria, should be amended with immediate effect. If it is amended, the states should do a crash program of enlistment into the Nigeria police force. During my days in the police, enlistment was on a monthly basis. Every month you enlist police officers and men, every month. But today, instead of thinking of how to spend money on security, they are thinking of how to spend money on political office holders. You see a local government chairman going about with 10 police officers. 10! I went to the US sometimes last year. In one of the cafeteria where we ate, the governor came in to have his meal there, ate his meal quietly, no DSS with him, no army with him, no police with him, nothing with him. He ate his meal quietly and left quietly. If it is in Nigeria here, if a government is coming to eat in Federal Palace Hotel or in Sheraton, you see more than 100 policemen waiting outside. They will take over the place. But this is not how to run a country. So there should be crash program for policemen now. During the independence Constitution of 1960, Section 98.7 provides for local government police at that time. You are not forced to. If you want to have a police force, you are free to do that. You organize your local government.
Okay, Barrister Barth Ozoana, we need to let you go now because of our time. We must thank you very much for your submission on the program this afternoon. We thank you for your time. Once again, Barrister Barth Ozoana is a lawyer as well as a retired police officer. So far, he's been able to suggest different ways to which the federal government can tackle the problem of insecurity facing us as a nation. We thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Jibola. Thank you.
All right. We'll take another break now to bring you the soundbite of the week. Do stay with us.
3 weeks ago, this hallowed chamber, the Senate held an executive session. And part of the resolutions at the executive session was that the office of the Senate leader should, without any delay, come up with a bill that will redesignate kidnapping as an act of terrorism, thereby attracting a death penalty. So this bill is part of the resolutions of the 10th Senate.
I want to further emphasize is that this bill will also cure the mischief in the Terrorist Act, because we have seen in the distant past where terrorists apprehended who have killed, maimed, and committed heinous crimes were, in the name of de-radicalization, they were arrested, quote and unquote, de-radicalized, retrained, fed with taxpayers' money, and as we know now, some of these guys went back to continue with the act of terrorism. So my understanding of this reinforcement of the Terrorism Act, by including kidnapping, is that such discretion will not be available to anyone, whether in the armed forces or even in the executive.
Mr. President, I think that we should go ahead and allow for a second reading of this bill in the hope that a properly designated act of criminality with its concomitant punishment will act as a deterrent to the daily occurrence of kidnapping in our country.
As a result of the importance of this bill is now committed to the committees on judiciary, human rights and legal matters, national security and intelligence, the committee on interior, and the lead committee will be the committee on judiciary, human rights and legal matters, to report back to the Senate within 2 weeks.
Okay, that was what transpired yesterday during plenary at the floor of the Senate. You saw the Senate President there, as well as Senator Oyemi Bamidele, Senator Adams Oshiomhole, and the Minority Leader, Senator Abba Moro, all speaking on the need for us to amend the 2022 Terrorism Act of Nigeria. And now, for those who engage in any act of kidnapping, supplying information to kidnappers or terrorists, they will be sentenced to death. Of course, they are trying to amend that part of the Constitution. There will be no fine anymore, and these are some of the actions being taken by the executive as well as the legislative arm in addressing the problem of insecurity in the country. That's the show this week. We thank you very much for watching. I am Ajibola Ojeshola. We'll see you again next Thursday. Bye for now.